So I think we all know who Musashi Miyamoto is, and I don't think the time he defeated Japan's whole police force is talked about enough. And this is the most disrespect I've ever seen out of Musashi. But before I start today's video, let me know in the comment section below, what do you think about Musashi? Is he in your top 3? But it all started when Musashi got into a scuffle with some police officers, then fled. And now they have a whole search force after Musashi. And this was such a big deal, in fact, the news said, the revived master swordsman Musashi Miyamoto. Where does he intend to go? And what are his intentions? And just who really is he? And Musashi was just chilling next to a little campfire under a bridge, and then a man showed up, and then he approached Musashi, and Musashi had recognized this detective, whose name is Utsuka. The detective said he had Musashi surrounded, and that they have an armed force with over 100 soldiers there. The chief had said that these soldiers have cutting-edge equipment, and how he may be Musashi Miyamoto, but he will not win. And he even mocked Musashi, saying, "You are a man of the art of war, right? Then fleeing is the wisest move for you." He said, "Musashi Miyamoto, we are not taking you lightly, and I'm cautioning you while also recognizing your strength. You'd best come with me." And then when Musashi didn't start to follow him, the detective pulled out a Glock. The detective then said, "I'll definitely hit you from here," and then he giggled like she was sweet, but he's soon gonna learn.
The more you fuck around, the more you're gonna find out.
And then we got to see the army of SWAT team members that pulled up just to arrest Musashi, and they were told to keep sound to a minimum in order for a surprise attack. And then they all advanced, but there was a dark figure in their direction. It was Musashi Miyamoto walking towards them instead of walking away, and Musashi threw something to the commander. And the object that Musashi had thrown to the commander was Detective Utsuka's pistol. And Musashi had opened up and examined the gun, so I guess he kinda knows how they work now. Musashi had said it was a fair match, and he even said Utsuka drew before him, but he didn't want to talk about that much. The commander then screamed out of anger because his friend was dead, but Musashi had simply said, "He challenged me, so I cut him. Nothing more, nothing less. I do not intend to surrender, nor do I intend to abide by you. What are you gonna do with a guy like me?" And the way that Musashi Miyamoto had destroyed this detective is insane. Musashi had said, with a gun to his face, "I'll draw. If you see it, shoot me." And sure enough, the guy shot his gun, but Musashi ducked faster than the bullet could shoot. And then he split the detective's body in half with one slice. This literally looks like a fatality from Mortal Kombat. And after this, the whole SWAT team was using condensed rubber bullets, which is equivalent to a rock being thrown by a major league pitcher. And Musashi then hit the hardest stance ever. This man was posted up, and the SWAT commander said, "You can't do anything about it. You will be fatally injured." And then 3 guns were shot, but Musashi drew his sword and cut every single condensed rubber bullet in half. Musashi even mocked their new technology, saying, "Even arrows are faster than that." But then they suddenly brought a fire truck, saying it was the one thing that Musashi Miyamoto could not cut: water. And then when the fire truck had shot the water at Musashi, he had shadow stepped over to the fire truck and then cut the water hose in half. And it ends up, I guess he can cut water. Musashi was just feeling himself. He said, "What's wrong? Aren't you going to arrest me? By now you must have figured it out. Even if I lay face down on the floor with both my hands behind my back, you still cannot defeat me. Have you really figured out my true strength yet?" The commander then said, "When it comes to real war, it's a different story when it comes to skills." And he had also said, the equipment that they have does not even compare to those in warring states. And they flexed their numbers and tried to say everything about Musashi Miyamoto is simply a myth. The commander had said, "Fantasy hour is over, and now Musashi Miyamoto will face the harsh reality that he is not going to win." But Musashi had said, "Speaking of the harsh reality, why have you not made a move yet? Despite the large numbers of strong men gathered, none of you have made a significant move yet. Is it out of restraint, out of courtesy, or probably despite wearing technologically advanced armor, you still cannot strike me? And in conclusion, your squadron is strong in numbers, your armor and weapons are the best there is, but your opponent does not care about any of that." Musashi just indirectly called the entire Japanese police force mid. Are you restraining yourself because of your overwhelming power, or because you are weak and afraid? What is it? This man Musashi basically just broke down how he is better than all of them in literally every way possible, right in front of their faces. And then they tased Musashi with a taser that had 500,000 volts when a normal taser is 50,000 volts of electricity. This taser was so strong, Musashi's flesh was even giving off a smell as if it was burnt. And they were about to call the medical team, but then Musashi had said,
"Call an ambulance! But not for me!"
Musashi then woke up and then just stood back up, leaving everyone terrified. Musashi said, "Wow, I've never been poisoned so bad, but I honestly feel bad for Musashi, because they hit Musashi's crotch with the taser, melting off the skin on his crotch. And if you put 2 and 2 together, I think Musashi just got his dick burned off." It's a sad day for him, but Musashi had ignored this and said, "Iwama, I can't ignore the dark spots," and then he cut his head off. That escalated pretty fast. And apparently this guy Iwama was called a demon in the police force, but he was beheaded in front of everyone, and in their eyes, Musashi looked like Satan himself. And Musashi really started sounding like Satan himself. He said, "What a lovely moon. When the moon is so perfectly clear, I feel all the more urge to cut," while having this insane smile on his face. His smile had looked just like Sukuna's smile. Musashi said, "You are a force that had lost its head. No more can you be called an army. Without a leader, an army are no longer 100 men. You are now nothing but 100 individuals," and that is the hardest quote I've heard in Baki. I knew his quotes were going to be fired just off of who his character is based off of, but who else is saying something like that? And since everyone was holding up a riot shield, Musashi had cut this guy's shield until it was pretty much just glass punching gloves, and he had told the medics to come get their decapitated chief, and then he told all the soldiers to split, and they listened. Musashi then walked away, and Mr. Tokugawa warned the leader of Japan, if he keeps trying to arrest Musashi Miyamoto, there will be nothing but a mountain of corpses. But nonetheless, they had a helicopter following Musashi Miyamoto, and then they sent even more people after Musashi, this time in trucks. But when they got out, they couldn't find Musashi, up until this guy said, "Who is that behind you?" And it was Musashi giving this guy the death stare from over his shoulder. And Musashi just kept clowning these guys. Musashi had said, "Didn't you say you were gonna shoot me on sight?" Then Musashi had cut him straight down the middle of his body. And before this guy could even up his gun, his arms were completely cut off from his body. And they did try surrounding Musashi, but Musashi cut soldier after soldier after soldier. In just a split second, that entire unit was wiped out, and Musashi had disappeared. But then Musashi popped up again, and he wiped out a whole nother unit in that second after he defeated that first group, and it finally settled in. They all realized that they were going to be completely annihilated, and the supposedly best troops of their nation were trying to run away in fear. Musashi had said, "Fools, I run and I hide," while looking like an absolute monster. And he had said, "When I appear, I cut." Then he jumped down from the car and cut another guy in half. If my count's correct, that is the fourth person to be cut in half. And that's just on screen. Who knows what he did off screen? And as they tried to shoot Musashi, he had whipped out a whole nother sword. If he could do all of this so far with one sword, what could he do with two? Musashi had said, "If you move, someone's head will fly. Who is your leader?" Musashi then looked around and then said, "There isn't one. Now I have no choice. It is over. Return to your cars and have a hasty retreat, and I will cut all of those who remain in front of me." And these SWAT team members went from soldiers to D1 track stars while running back to their car. And it is said that is the smoothest thing that the entire SWAT team had done that day. And the leader of Japan said the only person they believe that they can get to defeat Musashi Miyamoto is the strongest creature himself, Yujiro Hanma. And that's how Musashi Miyamoto dismantled and completely annihilated the entire Japanese police force. But that's gonna be all for today's video. And if you're interested with interacting with me, the community, showing off your art, or maybe even self-promoting, then you can join the Discord that can be found in the description box below. And if you enjoyed today's video and would like to support me, then you can leave a like and subscribe. It's completely free on your end and helps me out way more than you may think. But that's gonna be all. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.